morning. My name is Roger Macky. I'm the mayor of the city of Cloquet. I would like to share our heartfelt sympathies with the families of the victims in this horrible incident. As our police continue to investigate this incident, we request all of your respect for the privacy of these families as well. First, I would like to thank the public for their cooperation with our sheltering in place request issued during last night's preliminary investigation. With the public support, law enforcement was able to work this case as safely and efficiently as possible and give the all clear. Finally, I would like to thank the many law enforcement and emergency responders that went to great lengths to ensure the safety of our community. These brave men and women charged with keeping our community safe in instances like these continue to rush into situations like these with public and community safety as their priority. With that, I will turn it over to Cloquet Police Chief Randall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Randall, and I'm the Chief of Police here in Cloquet. Last night was a very difficult night for our community. At 6:34 p.m., an employee at the Super 8 in Cloquet called 911 and reported they had found another hotel employee who looked like she had been attacked. Within 3 minutes, the Cloquet Police Department arrived on scene and found a 22-year-old Cloquet woman with a gunshot wound. She was transported by Cloquet Area Fire District ambulance to St. Luke's Hospital in Duluth, where tragically she succumbed to her injuries. During the initial investigation, officers found a 35-year-old Deer River man with multiple gunshot wounds deceased inside a vehicle in the hotel parking lot. Additionally, a 32-year-old man from Ramsey, Minnesota was found dead outside on the hotel property with evidence suggesting a self-inflicted gunshot wound. A handgun was located adjacent to the deceased. Based on what the officers found, we believe that there was an active shooter situation. We took a cautious approach and issued an alert until more information about the suspect's whereabouts was known. We immediately sent out a shelter-in-place notification for that vicinity. As responding officers secured the scenes, they utilized hotel video surveillance to determine that the assailant was one of the deceased individuals. At that time, we sent out another update notifying the public that we believed the suspect was deceased. I want to thank our community, as the mayor did, for those who heeded that notification and stayed safe inside and clear of the scene. I also want to thank our media for sharing that information with our residents. Currently, there's no information yet on a motive for the shooting or if there was any connection between the suspect and either of the victims. According to the video surveillance, the entire incident prior to law enforcement arriving lasted approximately 10 minutes. Throughout last evening and early morning this morning, detectives executed search warrants at the property, and agents from the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and their crime scene teams diligently processed the scene. This remains an active and ongoing investigation, and we are working to piece together the events that transpired. At this time, we're confident there are no further threats to the public. Again, currently we don't have a motive. We don't know why, but we're continuing to work on that. The identities of the 3 deceased are not yet being released pending notifications of their families. Their names will be released within 24 hours from this conference. I'd like to thank our gratitude to all the agencies that responded, making this such a successful response. Without that quick, swift, coordinated response from all of our agencies, since we're such a small agency, their efforts aided us greatly in this difficult time. I've been told that the local Red Cross is available for anyone needing assistance related to this incident. Also, our local Human Development Center in Cloquet is offering walk-in therapy services for anyone affected by this incident and needing assistance. They're located at 1102 Cloquet Avenue. Their phone number is 218-879-4559, and their crisis line number is 1-844-722-4724. Again, I'd like to extend my sympathies to the families and the victims of this tragic incident. And I also would like to thank, again, the agencies that responded, which were the Cloquet Area Fire District, the Carleton County Sheriff's Office, the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office, the Minnesota State Patrol, Fond du Lac Police Department, Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, the Minnesota Homeland Security Emergency Management, Mayo Ambulance, and staff from the Drug Enforcement Agency. At that time, we'll take some questions.
Can you give an idea of how this all happened? Did it start in the hotel and then it went out to the parking lot? Was the woman hit first, then the men, or how did this all play out?
At this point, we believe the female clerk was the first victim, and then the suspect went outside and later shot the man in the car.
Why was the DEA involved?
We have a couple of local agents involved. A call like this, when that call is dispatched over the air, it's all hands on deck. So,
Any police records for that gunman?
I don't have that information at this time.
What was the connection between the people?
We don't know.
Were the two men guests or?
We believe so.
And was the alleged shooter a guest? Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Was the clerk at the desk when she was shot?
In the near vicinity of the front desk.
How will you go about investigating the motive from here?
The investigators are still processing some of the evidence on scene, hoping that that information will shed some light on why.
Were there witnesses who witnessed the interaction?
There were some people that I believe heard the incident. I don't know for sure at this point if we've been able to find anybody that actually eyewitnessed the events.
Chief, can you talk about something like this happening in such a small town and your officers hearing this call go out, an active shooter that doesn't happen
Right.
in Cloquet, Minnesota, but then also just the aftermath of all of this, 3 people dead. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tragedy. I think we plan for these types of situations, hope that it doesn't happen in your community. When that call came out, Sheriff's Office, Fond du Lac PD, all of our closest partners were on their way, State Patrol. The St. Louis County Emergency Response Team came and helped clear one of the hotel rooms. And from there, it was just nonstop calls of support to ask what we needed. So really grateful for the relationships that we have in our community and our region to be able to respond to these types of calls.
There was a huge number of police in the parking lot, but there were also St. Louis County and other officers at L&M. Can you tell me what their role was?
So as everyone was converging on the scene, we were trying to dedicate the resources of where they needed to go. Some of the officers that were coming that weren't needed directly on scene, because of that lockdown, they were directed to our arena. That's only a couple blocks away. It was just finishing up a hockey game. They were sheltering in place, and so those officers were able to go there and escort those folks into their vehicles and out of the area. So the squads that you saw at L&M were probably either just waiting or making sure that those folks that may still be inside the buildings had a sense of security with the officers being there.
How many weapons did you locate on the scene?
I believe one at this point.
Is that property a known property to police here? In other words, did you get a lot of calls over there or not?
No, not any more than any others.
Is Was the surveillance video very helpful in this case, trying to help you piece together what's happened?
Absolutely. It was crucial. I think the biggest concern for us was not knowing where the suspect was as we responded. Officers were able to quickly start to clear the hotel, top floor, bottom floor. Once that was secure, people were in place. They were able to access the video surveillance and recall that information to see what was on there, which led to a phone call to me saying that they were confident that the surveillance footage showed the shooter died of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. So at that time, obviously the investigation continued, but we were able to send out an alert lifting that shelter in place and letting folks know that we believed that we had secured the scene, and then the investigative portion would then start.
Could you be a little more specific about where the alleged shooter was found?
He was found on the property. It appears as though he walked out of the hotel after shooting the male individual, walked a short distance on the property grounds and shot himself. Any other questions?
But from one of your officers say that some people did stay overnight. Was that their choice, or?
As far as I know, I believe they were offered to be moved to a different hotel next door, and I believe some of them chose to stay.
You don't have a physical witness, but all of this was captured on surveillance video?
I wouldn't say all of it, but a good portion of it.
Is there any certain action being taken for the mental health of your officers and other people who responded to the scene?
Yes, so there was a initial debriefing with the involved officers and public safety personnel last night. One of the psychologists that works with public safety in the area also came to the scene, came to our staging area, and I assume that we'll be planning some follow-up crisis meetings down the road.
Do you know what operations look like at Super 8 today? Are they just going to be closed? Or they?
I do not know. So I know the BCA crime scene team worked throughout the night processing the scene. They're continuing to process one of the vehicles in a secure location, but I don't know the status of the hotel operations this morning.
And to be clear, the clerk was shot inside the hotel,
That's correct.
and the other victim was shot where?
Seated in a vehicle in the parking lot.
Thank you.
You bet.
Do you have the shooter's cell phone?
We have some of the items of all the individuals. The specifics I don't know, but presumably most people have phones and other devices on them. So any of those devices that we have, we'll hope to find some information, maybe providing a motive.
For those search warrants, did we go to the gunman's house? Did we look in his car?
I don't have all those details right now, and just because this is still active, I'll keep it to the basics here until we know more. I don't want to give you any wrong information. So,
has anything remotely like this happened in Cloquet's history in living memory?
not that I recall. I mean, we've had homicides, but nothing to this nature. I don't recall in my 20-plus years here that we've ever issued a shelter-in-place alert. And again, that's something that we take seriously. We just erred on the side of caution to make sure that people were staying away from the area and let the officers come in and do what they needed to do. And as soon as we felt confident that the individual was no longer a threat and that we had secured the scene, we lifted that alert. So, if we have no further questions, I'll turn it back over to the mayor. Thank you.
I think any future information will come out with future press releases. With no other questions, thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.